Hey, welcome to the Fabric of Culture podcast, where I interview different creatives and get insights into their life so you can apply it to your life. And James, introduce yourself.
I'm James, and I'm a photographer based in the DFW, Texas area.
Nice. How'd you first get into photography?
I started roughly in 2017 thanks to my dad.
Oh, nice.
So 2017, 2018 was when I was actually going from my junior year into senior year of high school. And the way I kind of set up my year was I wanted to have my senior year be on the easy side, but also enjoy it because you're only going to graduate once.
True.
So on one of them, I don't know how it is with the Texas education system, but at least for me in California, the last couple weeks is where you spend the time meeting with your counselor, figuring out what classes you need to take in order to graduate. And for one of them, I had a free open slot. So it's like I could either take a random class and just chill in there or do something active. So I asked, is it possible to sign up for yearbook? And my counselor was like, yeah, but the only thing with yearbook is that you have to be accepted. So put in an application, did a quick maybe 5-question interview. I got accepted, and then I came home and I was like, hey, mom and dad, just to let you know, I'm on the yearbook team. So in case I come home late, I'm either at an event or a sport thing for school, just a little FYI. And then without even asking, my dad bought me a camera. And then ever since then, it just kind of took off from there.
So what kept you going? Like you just got into it more and more and just grew over time, or?
I would say it's a mixture of things. Most definitely just, it was a way for me to, number one, get out of the house, be more productive with my time instead of just going to school and going to work, that typical thing a high school or college student would do. So during summer break or winter break or whenever I had time in my schedule, I just hit up a friend and say, hey, this weekend you want to go to the beach, and take some photos and chill, have fun? And of course they would say yes, and from there on just kept on going. And then eventually I moved here and things changed a little bit, but just kept going. And it's more been a way for me to not only meet people but to kind of express myself, because at least for my Instagram, I'm a very private person. I didn't know exactly how to utilize my Instagram, so I was like, yeah, I'll just use it for photography. And as time went on with Instagram going from like a typical social media page, it now becomes a business.
Yeah.
And through there you can meet people, you can get paid sponsorships, promos, and just grow a following, and you can even quit your full-time job and just focus on social media.
It sounds like a nice hybrid. So for you, as someone who kind of balances it out, since you're private, how do you figure out like what you want to post with the business wise?
Honestly, I just freeball it. When before, I used to just post randomly, like, oh, here's me at the beach with my friends, blah blah blah. And then when Instagram kind of switched over to more the business side, I was like, okay, I gotta change things up a little bit. I gotta keep things consistent, and at the same time, like, give credits to the right people. So like, oh, I worked with so-and-so, be sure to check her out. Or, hey, I found this place through here. If you're ever curious, go here. And of course, my DMs are always open, so I do get questions. And that's the great thing about the photography model community. Everyone is super nice. Any questions you have, it's just like, hey, quick question, where did you go for this setting? Or do you have any advice for using this lens or this product or that product? Like, what can I do to be better? And of course, Instagram, through your explore page, they figure out what you like. So there are a lot of content creators out there where their sole, I guess, product is just teaching people. So I teach myself sometimes through watching their videos as well.
Yeah.
Instead of having to pay and go to take a class, I was like, man, this guy's doing it for free on Instagram. You know, I'll just watch his video and I'll teach myself and then make it my own style.
What would you say is like the biggest thing that's helped you improve or that you learned from like watching videos?
Trying it first. Teach yourself. For me at least, I'm very self-taught. Of course, when I was in the yearbook team, we did have to get like some formal education, at least because other kids, they don't know how to work a camera, so somebody had to come in and teach us the basics. But as time went on, I just taught myself. figuring out what does this, what does that. Okay, if I put this too high, I have to put this down a little bit lower. Everything was just self-taught and just through experience, learning from mistakes and trying to be better each and every time.
It's gold. Yeah. How would you describe your style?
My style, I mean, of course, if between me and the model, we have a specific concept or idea in mind, then of course my main focus is going to be on that. But 9 times out of 10, I just freeball it. I just have fun. I kind of give my models a little pep talk during the first 2, maybe 3 collabs. I'll just say, hey, so obviously this is what we're doing today. Number 1, I just want you to be in a comfortable environment.
Yeah.
And I tell them I'm very free-flowing. I just go with the flow. So number 1, I want you to be comfortable. Number 2, have fun. Number 3, just feel it. Feel the vibes, feel the environment, feel the concept, and just go with the flow. And I add on, 90% of it is always the model. Whether it be the pose, whether it be if you decide like, oh, I want to be on the couch first and then we move over to, say, the window, or what if I use this as a prop and then I pose like this, like 90% of it is all the model. The other 10% is me. I will click the button, of course, but I'll be kind of, as a director, I would say, oh, hold that pose, let me move to this side. Or hold that pose, let me move over here, let me get a top-down shot and then bottom to top shot and direct you. And in order to keep it flowing, I always tell them, how do I say it? Like, I always tell them, whatever you say goes, not me. Like, I will direct you, but if something is a little too much, tell me right off the bat. So if it's too much, it's no, we're gonna move on to the next. I don't wanna, like, have everything be fun and kind of the one, and then I suggest something and then that kind of kills everything.
Yeah, it kills the energy and then
kills energy, yeah. So I always say, free flowing, have fun, enjoy it. I'll recommend things. If it's a no, cool, great, we'll move on to the next. And that's how everything just keeps on going, and at the end of the day, both parties are happy.
I like that. It seems like most of the photographers that I've enjoyed working with the most were like that, where it's like you said, it's free form, but it's also them letting you know that they're enjoying the process, but they make you feel almost open. Yeah. So for you, who are some of your like photography inspirations?
Honestly, I don't exactly have a main inspiration. I'll probably just say my dad. Growing up, my dad, he did photography when he was in high school and in college, and he's always been the photographer for my family. There's 4 kids, me and my older siblings, and he was always the one to take pictures during our birthday celebrations, our graduations, proms, dances, family events, Christmas even. My dad has always been the one that took the photos. And of course, my dad is a little bit on the older side, so he has slowed down a little bit. And because I have my own camera and I do all these things, sometimes I take over. Like even with my nieces and nephews, like I take photos of them. Christmas, I take photos. Baptisms, whatever, everything family related that my dad used to do, I do now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So like, you're carrying it on.
Yeah,
I like that. I think for you, like, what makes it easy to work with a model and what makes it difficult to work with a model?
Based on my experience, I would say what makes it the most easiest is because we're all in the same age range. I am 23, I'm gonna be 24 soon, and almost every person that I work with has always been within that range. They can be 21, 22, or they can be like 24, 25, 26. I have worked with some friends where they're already in their 30s.
Yeah.
And I think because of how close we are in the age range, we can relate to each other. Like, I'm sure for you, like even, being in college, like you've kind of had that hard time, and sometimes you want to have fun and be expressive, you want to model and have fun, but like you're so busy, and then some photographers are like, oh, my rates are way up there, and they're like, oh man, I want to work with them, but I don't have the money, and they're a college student. So I would say that everyone I ever worked with is because we have that personal relationship, no.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be in college. I know what it's like to not have money and you want to have fun but you can't, or you want to meet somebody and do some projects together, but rates and people want money and blah blah blah. I would say everyone I've met just been super awesome, and of course there's that level of understanding too. Some of the models I work with, and even for myself, I understand we have lives outside of our passions.
Yeah.
Like I do love photography, but I do have a full-time job. I have my parents to take care of. I got bills. I have my car. I have all other things outside of photography that I have to take care of, and it's the same for them. They have their family, they have their car, they have their bills, they have their education, they have their personal, private relationships that they have to take care of. So there's that relationship of, I understand, you understand, that's great, thank you. And that's how everything just, again, flows very nicely. But with anyone bad, I don't think I've ever really worked with anybody bad, to be quite honest with you. I did work with some people, and over time, I guess things change.
Y'all just had like different styles, things just drifted apart.
I would say just kind of drifting apart. What I mean by that is, I might have worked with somebody years ago, and then, we only keep the relationship through social media.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, maybe they don't want to follow me anymore. So like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes that relationship kind of dwindles and then you forget about it. But photo shoot wise, same thing. It's always a good time, but things change and we drift apart. But overall, I never really had a bad experience with anybody.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I think for the most part, I haven't either. It was more just like different understandings or like communication problems.
Oh.
So I've learned to try to be more expressive, more like clear to the point. That way they understand where I'm coming from, and I also understand where they're coming from.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How do you go about like planning a shoot?
Ooh, communication is key. Making sure both parties understand. Whether it be my idea and I'm planning it, I'm very specific. So it's like, hey, I am free such and such day, such and such time. What about you? And I'll take that in consideration. They'll say, for example, I'm free next Saturday between, 10 in the morning until 2. Okay, let me think. So Saturday, 10 to 2. Okay, let me think about the weather. Is it gonna be sunny? Is it gonna be cloudy, cold? Do you want to do a studio? Do you want to be outdoors? Like all these ideas just kind of spark up into my brain, and I let them know like, this is what I have in mind. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because it's also important to get their opinion and combine it with yours to make something awesome. I might have one idea, but then they may have 2 to add to the table. So it's like, okay, you have those ideas. Okay, let me see what I can do. Okay, we can go here, and then we can do X, Y, and Z. And then after we do X, Y, and Z, we can transition into doing my idea or whoever's idea was, and then do A, B, C. So communication-wise is always key, and also keep it professional at the same time.
Yeah.
Especially for first-time collabs, I keep things as professional as I can. But then, of course, after you meet the person for the first time, everything changes. It's like, oh, they're super chill. I can be my goofy self.
Yeah, you slowly become more comfortable, and so things kind of just flow better.
Yeah, definitely. Everything just flows better. And I'll also say at the same time, between scheduling and communication-wise, it's just respecting each other's wishes. Like, I may have an idea that they might not be comfortable with, but it's something they would be willing to try. But as I mentioned before, whatever they say goes. If it's a no, it's a no. We're gonna move on.
Yeah.
And I'll come up with something different that would keep them comfortable, but at the same time they can feel it, have fun, and enjoy the moment.
What's something you learned that makes like the models and yourself more comfortable, and what's something that's made them, I guess, we're like, okay, we can't go that way because it makes them uncomfortable?
I would say same thing, just communication. If I say, hey, what if you pose a certain way and then look back, and they'll be like, if they shake their head or just say, no, I don't want to do that. Again, I respect what they say. I
Yeah.
move on. I'm not the type of person to say, no, you have to do it because it's going to look great and blah 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 blah. It's like, no, I'm not the type of person to say, do this, do that. No, no, no. Whatever they want goes. And of course, as a man, I have to respect what they say.
Yeah.
So I will suggest it. I might be like, what if you do this? Do you think you can do that? Or is it a little bit too much? If they say, I'm willing to try it, and if they try it and it's like, I don't like it. Can we try something else? Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on. That's just how I keep it.
I like that, yeah. Because it's, not only is it, one, you're respecting like their boundaries, but two, it's like building trust where it's like, okay, like he knows where I'm comfortable and where I'm not. And so I know that basically you have like, they have good intentions, so you feel more comfortable in the long run anyway.
Absolutely.
What's your like process workflow wise? So say like you've talked about like the photo shoot itself, but like pre and post, like getting in contact with the model and editing afterwards.
Pre and post. I would say pre, of course, is agreeing on the theme. They can have their idea of whatever theme it may be, and I might have my idea of what it could be. Of course, we can, kind of plan things out in the pre-stages. Like, what if you, like, I have this idea and you have this idea. Okay, we agreed on that. Okay, we're going to use such and such studio. It looks like this. Like, I'll take screenshots and send it to them. Like, oh, this is what it looks like. What type of vibe are you feeling? And then they can go on and say, oh, I have this outfit, this outfit, this outfit. I could bring this and maybe this, but I don't know yet. For me, at least, I just say bring everything, because you never know what looks good. Bring everything, and we'll make use of the 2-hour rental period we have. So pre is, of course, the communication, the scheduling, making sure both parties agree on it, the theme, concept, idea, outfits, bringing it back to whether it's where it can be a studio or outdoors at a lake or something, taking consideration the weather. It's like, hey, I noticed it's gonna be really cold. Do you want to reschedule or do you want to go forward? And figure that stuff out and then continue on. And then of course, photo shoot day comes, we do it, we have fun. And then afterwards, when it comes to editing, I do tell them, hey, looking at how much we have, I'm gonna say between 2 weeks, maybe a little more, I'll get them to you, but I don't know yet because of course we have lives outside of work or outside of photography and modeling. Which, one thing I learned about being here, at least in Texas, everybody is very, very understanding, which is awesome for me. And there's that communication as well. Last year, for example, I was planning on taking 2023 very slow and kind of just go with the way of things. I ended up doing 27 shoots, and that was unprecedented. I wasn't even planning on doing 27.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So, and most of them were all back to back weekends, sometimes back to back within the same day, and I'll have to tell whoever I'm working with that day, like, hey, just to let you know, I just did 3, you're the 4th one, and I'm still working on the first one, so I may take a little longer than usual, but something that I always do as well is I send them a courteous update. Like, hey, I just finished editing batch 1, I'm on batch 2. Or, hey, I'm editing and I want to get your opinion. What do you think of this look versus this look? Or, hey, I'm about 80% done. I would say within the next 2-3 days, you should have your photos. So pre, during, and post, number one thing is just being professional and just keeping that communication key.
Yeah, that sounds nice because like everyone has like a different editing process, so I'm never quite sure what to expect. So knowing things like that just clears it up, clears the air.
Oh yeah. And I mean, in terms of editing, like everyone has different tastes too. My level of editing is very simple and minimalist. Of course, like when it comes to editing, like I'll do some touch-ups on the face, or if you have like eye bags, I'll try to clear that up a little bit. And like every photographer, I shoot in RAW. So the raw photo versus the edited photo, it's very much different. And the way I edit the photo might be different to what they have in mind. Like, I added some colors, I brightened certain patches on the photo up a little bit, but then for them it's like, oh, actually, can you switch it? Can you darken this part of the photo and then brighten up this photo? Or presets, can you do a preset where it looks like this or like that or whatever? Everyone has that difference of opinion. But my level of editing, I do it my style at first, and if they wanted extra, like something to choose from, I'll be like, okay, let me do some more edits. I'll send you some copies, and what do you think looks better? Like, I have this one, I have this one, I have this one. Which
Now
one
I'm
do you
gonna,
think fits?
real quick, I'm gonna see what my cats are attacking. Like, what's upstairs? I left nothing there. And I see like a to-go bag, and he's just like...
Yeah. Yeah, that's what cats do.
Yeah, I know. I was so ready for us. I'm so curious though, and I want to get rid of that noise. So yeah, for you, how did you go about like developing your photography eye?
Well, number one, it was definitely my dad. I never had the intentions of starting photography until my dad made a comment one time. I remember it was back home in California, and kind of like here in Texas, like they have that state fair every year. California was having one at our local park, and I was with my sister and some of her friends, and I don't know if it was the iPhone camera or a little Polaroid camera, but I snapped the photo, and my dad looked at it and he's like, oh, that's very good, the way you framed it and did this, that, and that. That's very good. It's even better than what I do. And I was like, huh, okay. That kind of inspired me a little bit. So of course, when I got into yearbook and I got my own camera, everything just kind of came to me. It's like, I can't just shoot straight on, I have to move.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you watch me work with some of my friends, you see that I'm moving side to side, I'm crouching down, I'm climbing up on top of a chair, or sometimes when I had my older camera, I would have to lay down on the ground to see, because my first camera, the screen was already like in the camera, like you can't flip it out, like it's just the screen. So I can't see exactly what I'm doing. So I have to get down low, squat down low, even lay on the ground to shoot upwards. So when I developed that eye, I was like, it was just a matter of having it come on the spot on my brain. So it's like, I'm shooting straight on. What if I told her, stay like that, let me move to the side, and she turned her head? Oh, that looks amazing. Okay, what if I did this and that and that and that and that? Just came to me naturally, and I just kept on doing it.
So it's like experimentation over time and just slowly developing. I like that, yeah. What's something that you've learned kind of for models that helped them improve, like, so that made them better, more comfortable?
I would say for anybody aspiring to be a model, they definitely, Pinterest is a great thing. Having ideas, poses, and concepts that they want to do and they want to try, but they don't picture themselves doing that. It's always a matter of just trying it out for the first time. I've worked with a lot of girls where they've never modeled before, and they're like on the shy side. They're like, oh, I don't know. I've never done this before, I never done that. And then I just say, you never know until you try.
True.
So as soon as they try it, they fall in love with it and they want to keep doing it. I've had so many people where I've done photos for them and they looked at it like, oh my God, that was great. I have an idea. Do you think you can do it? And I'm like, there we go.
Now we're getting started.
The first one just kind of snowballs and they just want to do more and more, which for me is awesome. I love seeing that because it shows personal growth as a person. That shyness goes away, the confidence builds, and you also show another side of you that you didn't know you had. A lot of the girls that I met and worked with, they're like, oh, I didn't know I looked like that. I was like, that's because you haven't seen yourself the way I see you. You might be that shy, nerdy little girl, but as soon as you change up your outfit a little bit and you change your makeup and you get in front of a camera, strike a pose, and I slap on some edits, that's you.
Yeah.
And that's something that I just absolutely love when it comes to photography.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like revealing another side where it's like, oh wow, I didn't really see myself that way, but now I can because you've opened it up for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For you, what's like a dream, like dream assignment or dream photography shoot where you're like, okay, I want to get this done or I want to try this out?
For sure. I mean, just in general, I love scenery. So, the salt flats, I would love to go there
Oh,
sometime. I like being out in nature, and sometimes the nature shots come out great too. So, Colorado, maybe even being up in the mountains and things like that, or even other countries. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to mythology. So, going to Iceland and the Black Sand
Oh yeah,
beaches,
that's top three for me.
going to Greece or Rome, having all that white and somebody wearing white too, going for that look, or even for me, I'm Vietnamese and there's been talks of going back home to my home country, which I've never been, and of course there's going to be that little difference of cultures because I was born and raised in America. I'm not like fresh off the boat, jungle Asian. And one of the ideas I had that I was hoping that I could do someday was visiting a village, somebody working in the fields, and I'm dressed in my typical American clothing, boots, jeans, a nice t-shirt, whereas traditionally the Vietnamese person is wearing a different outfit and we're working in the fields.
Yeah.
And if I could pull that photo off, it's like the same culture but still different people.
So y'all both be in the shot.
Yeah, so like it could be me or my family member or
Yeah.
somebody just wearing the typical American clothes versus somebody from the village, and we're down in the crops doing something, and then I kind of have this dream a little bit. I hope it wins like some kind of award.
Yeah.
We're of the same culture, we're of the same ethnicity, but we're still the same, but we're two different people.
Oh yeah, that'd be a cool shot.
Yeah, so like that's the one thing with every photo shoot I have is like you gotta have this vision in the back of your head. Like, how can I pull this off and make it the best I can be? Whether it be lighting, colors, outfits, how I set my camera, you gotta have that little thing in the back of your mind, like, how can I do this? This is what I want, this is what I envision, but how can I do it?
Yeah, I'd say, funny enough, like my one regret is like when I was going to Colorado, we had like a week vacation, like 2022, 2023, and we went there for a week. We got like a cabin in West Colorado, it's like the top of the mountains, and I was not in my like I didn't know how to take a good shot as I do now, and so there was like so many places where I'm just like aghast, like I'm looking around, just amazed by the beauty of nature, but it's all memory now, but it's so many shots I could have taken where it's like, oh, this is like amazing spots, because our cabin was like at the very top of the mountains.
Oh wow, yeah.
And so we're out there just every day. You wake up and you see like a sunset in the mountains. It's like, oh God, this is so peaceful, so beautiful.
Yeah.
But where else would you want to take shots? Like in that area, like Vietnam, like Iceland, like what places would you want to?
Just any place with great scenery.
Yeah.
Anything that stands out and it's different than what you would normally see. And, it kind of inspires other people to think about it. Sometimes the most underrated places are the most beautiful places.
Yeah.
So, it can be on anybody's bucket list. You can see a photo of somebody out in wherever, and then it's like, man, now I want to go there. Maybe I can get a photo of myself there too.
Yeah.
Like, there's that adding it to the bucket list, and again, at the same time, it's inspiration, something to do, something to look forward to, something to try.
What about nature like draws your eye? And 'cause I see it myself, but I'm curious about you. Like what the shots themselves and just in general that pulls you in.
I would say like as I get older, I've slowed down a little bit, and I like to just take in everything around me. And of course, my style of photography has always been with natural light. So I use the sun and God's creations to take my photos, unless like of course we're in the studio and I have to set up a light. But being out in nature, just something about it is just freeing.
Yeah.
You know, you're outside by yourself. You hear the sounds of nature, the bugs, the water, and sometimes just being out there taking photos. You just use what you can. Compared to a studio, you have, you know, a limited space. You can only use so much of it. Whereas when you're outside in nature, there's a 360, you know, 360 view of whatever you can use that's there.
Yeah, the world's your oyster.
Yeah, you can climb up a tree and, you know, pose like that. You know, you can stand in the water right there and pose like that. Oh, we have a tree branch that's fallen down. Maybe we can, you know, lean up against that and pose and shoot like that. Or, oh, we have the sun is setting. We have golden hour. Okay, pose like this. I'll be on this side. I'll shoot that way. Like just using whatever is available draws me to nature and. Just
in that case, do you have trouble like honing in, or is it like I'm gonna take all these shots? Like how do you focus with a model if you have the eye and you see there's so many options, which ones do you pick?
Well, something that I tend to do, and my models see this, is that as soon as I get on location, I take a quick minute and I just look around. I see what I have, and then I envision something. Okay, I have spot one. I can do these type of photos, these type of poses, and I can maybe edit it this way. Okay, spot two. Oh, okay, we have this, we have that, we have that. Maybe we can try this, maybe we can try that. I have spot three. Oh, what if you did this, what if you did that, what if you did that? And that's the great thing with some of the models I work with is that sometimes they see something I don't, which is, again, that communication and working together.
Yeah.
I see something, I don't, they see something I don't, and they're like, hey, what if we did this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, perfect, there you go. That's more photos. That's more pictures, that's more outfits, that's more scenery, that's more whatever. It's not the same thing over and over and over. So that's one of the great things about just being out in nature, using everything that's around you.
That's a good combo where it's just you keeping your eye open, keeping your mind open, and just looking around. For you, how did you source models before? Like, how did you find the people you wanted to work with, and how do you find them now?
Ooh, when I was back home in California or when I moved to Texas?
Both.
Ooh, okay. Well, starting off with California, photography was just a way for me to get out of the house. So it was usually just the friends I knew. So it would be some of my old high school friends that became college friends, and I still keep in contact. Granted, it was only two people, two of my best friends. Everyone else was more so like my coworkers, and of course my coworkers, they're just there to work, you know. And of course they're on the older side. Like most of the staff was guys and maybe 3 girls, and everyone lives across the city. So I don't want to ask somebody like, oh, go from here to 2 hours that way.
Yeah, drive all the way down for the photos.
Yeah, but at least in California, it was just two of my best friends, and we graduated the same year, so I know them. We're friends. We live within the same area, so we can just take one car and go. But one thing that, at least with California, I feel like for me at least, it would be hard to reach out to somebody to work with them.
Yeah.
Because, LA, it's all about numbers. Numbers and what can you do that benefits me. So like at the time in California, I probably had like 1,000 followers, maybe 1,500. And I reached out to somebody that has 5, 6, maybe even 10. It's like, hey, let's work together. And they'll be like, what do you have to offer me? Like I have eyes on me already. You only have 1,000. What's that gonna do? It's the same with like all the, I don't want to call anybody out, but like all the influencers who want to make it big and things like that. It's like, oh, my rates are $300 per hour, and blah blah blah, and here's a contract, and here's all this and that. It's like, dude, I'm just trying to have fun. I just want to meet some new people, work with new people.
Yeah, you just want to create
some dope shit. But California, if I were still there, it would probably still be very, very hard.
Oh, really?
To even like of course, with how Instagram is now, you can DM or send a professional email or whatever. 9 times out of 10, you probably won't get a response back at all. So, California-wise, I don't know. I don't think I would have really thrived photography-wise unless like I found smaller. I wouldn't say like smaller people, like people with a small following. Like they just share their lives and they like do modeling on the side as like a side gig.
Yeah, it's something that's more for fun for them.
Yeah, for fun for them, absolutely. At least, but when I moved here to Texas, it was very much different. Everybody is down. Everybody is down. I'll just say, because of course when I moved here, it was very hard. I moved during May 2020, and that was like the height of the pandemic. And of course, me being Asian didn't exactly help.
Oh yeah.
But it was one of the great things about it because the way I viewed moving to Texas was like starting a new school year and you're in a new classroom. You kind of have to put yourself out there. So all I did was I was just going through the Explore page. I just started following a bunch of people. Follow. And then I would say a good portion of them followed me back. And eventually as time went on and you know, all I was doing was just working, I was like, I have to do something other than just work. I have to get outside. I'll just hit up a random person, be like, hey, I love your style. I see that you're close by. Would you be interested in working together? And of course, as I said before, everyone in Texas is down. So that's how I met some new people. And then, of course, it's also the connection through mutuals. You know, I follow this person, and then Instagram, of course, has that little notation where, oh, you also follow this person.
So like recommends you to other people too.
Yeah, that way of networking. So I was like, oh, okay, let me follow this person. And if they follow me back, great. And then, you know, you want to work with somebody new, you shoot that person a DM, and then, you know, they post your photos, I post them, and everything slowly grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And that's how I eventually met all the people I met today versus in California. The 2 in California who are my best friends versus the 20 or 30 people I met here and worked with. So that's one of the great things too. And everyone's open-minded too.
Yeah, I've noticed it's a very, for the most part, it's like very open-minded, very open-spirited, and it makes things work smoother too. So it's just like it clicks. What's something you've noticed, like networking-wise, where it's like some faux pas, where it's okay, this isn't working, and some things that have been like pros for you?
Definitely, I mean, at least for me, as I get older, just be straightforward. You know, for me, I'm a very straightforward person. I don't sugarcoat anything. I say it as it is. And we're all adults. We're all adults. You know, if I say something to offend you, I'm sorry, but that's just how I am. I'm the same way. Like, if you don't want to work with me, just say it. Like, I don't want to work with you. Okay, cool. I'll move on. I don't want it to drag on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know, thanks for reaching out, but like I have this, I have that, and they just start making up excuses.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, just say it. If you don't want to work with me, okay, cool. I'll move on. Thanks for your time. Cool. You know, if you still want to follow each other, that's awesome. If you want to unfollow me, that's totally fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Yeah. I'm not going to be like, you know, that petty boyfriend who's like, why'd you want to follow me and you're following so-and-so? That's just not my style. I'd rather everyone just, you know, be an adult, act your age, and just, you know, communicate as you should. No need to sugarcoat it. No need to drag it on, lie, make excuses, and just, you know, it just ruins the relationship in its entirety. So, you know, I've definitely had those times where I'm a very understanding person because, again, we all have lives outside of what we do. So if something happens and you have to push it back, I totally understand. But if it comes like a BS lie and the lie, you start to, like, say the model starts to make a lie and she starts to believe in the lie, it's like, why are you wasting so much time and energy on this lie when you could just said, something happened, I can't work with you, let me reach out to you when I'm ready. That's something I totally prefer, rather than, oh, I had this happen, do you think you reschedule for this? I'll let you know. And then when, let's say we reschedule for 2 Saturdays down the line, I reach out to them, hey, are we still on for such and such a date? Oh no, you know, this happened and this happened, and
it's like a new car accident.
It's like, oh yeah, you just had a car accident, and then now your mom's sick, and then now your freaking something, and like, come on, just say it as it is.
Yeah.
If you don't want to work with me, come on, there you go. It's better to just say it and move on. I don't like the whole dragging on bit. I've had people where we just recently, I'm not gonna name names, but I had one during President's Day. I was off that day, so I was like, you know what? Let's see who wants to work. One of these girls that I met, we have each other on Snapchat. She's a fan of my work. She was in Texas at the time. I was like, hey, I see you're back in Texas. I'm free on Monday. Do you want to shoot? Yeah, let's schedule. We had the idea figured out. We had the location figured out. We had the time figured out. And for me, I like to show up at least 15 minutes early, just so I can set up and see what I have.
Yeah.
For this one, we just so happened to be outside. And she was like, oh, I'm running a little late. I should be there by 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock was the time that we had initially pushed it back to. So I was like, okay, sure. I was already sitting there waiting. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, are you going to be here? Just an FYI, I didn't realize this, but you got to pay a small $10, $15 to access the park. And she's like, oh, I don't have the money for it right now. I'm sorry. I was like, okay, are you still on your way? And then no answer.
Nothing? Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm out. I'm going home. And then, and of course, I don't like doing this. I'm not this type of person, but at the same time, like that level of irritation and frustration was way up there.
Yeah.
And I did get angry. I'll admit. I was like, thanks for wasting my time. And I just I fucked her off and I was like, oh, that's it. But, you know, that's one thing is as a photographer and trying to keep things as professional, it's just respect other people's times. You know, I wasted 30 minutes driving out to this location, all for you to no show. I sat there waiting for like a good extra 10, 15 minutes for you. The park was gonna close soon, and I'm scrambling to figure out like, oh, what if we went 10 miles that way? It's another spot that we can shoot at, and you know, just no answer, just straight ghosted. And I was like, well, cool, I'm never working with you again. I'm not gonna like contact you.
Yeah, at least, like you said, mentioning like, hey, like, can we go somewhere else in this area? I can't afford that. Can we go somewhere else? Just communicate. It goes back to communication, like you said, where it's making it clear, this is something I can't do, but can we do something else? It's like you're working with them. It's a back and forth instead of, like you said, wasting their time.
Yeah.
To where.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not the type of guy to get angry, but you know, if you push it, I will become a little petty and like get annoyed. But
what are some other challenges you face with inexperienced models and like experienced models like that?
I mean, for inexperienced models, of course, they need a lot of direction. You know, for one of the girls that I met, maybe she'll watch this, but she knows who she is. We met up in December, like just a few days before New Year's, and she was in town. And she's a very beautiful girl, very cute, and she wants to get into modeling, but she's very stiff. You know, she needs a lot of direction. And one thing that I tell a lot of the girls that I work with, especially if it's like first time or inexperienced, is like, again, loosen up. I want you to be comfortable. I want you to have fun and just enjoy it, feel it. And you know, they're very stiff. So it's like, okay, do this pose and do that pose. Sometimes the girls I work with, they do have a little bit of RBF, resting bitch face.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for me, I tell them easiest way is just breathe through your mouth, because at least that way there's a little more expression. You know, you can show teeth, or you know, if I'm shooting, you know, you're standing right there and I shoot off to the side, you can you know, keep your face that way, but your eyes follow, and then like, you know, you're breathing through your mouth, so it's like more expression. Or you know, when you tilt your head back, more expression. So it's just a matter of telling him like, okay, you're very stiff, loosen up, you know, smile a little bit. I don't want you to keep your face like, you know, like that. So, but at the same time, everyone I've worked with, whether it be inexperienced or first time, as the shoot goes on, they start to have fun. You know, they enjoy it, and then, you know, the photos come out great. They want to do the next one. Of course, they are still a little bit on the stiff side and need direction, which I'm totally fine doing, but they start to learn. They start to experience it. When it comes to
Real quick, as the king of the RBF club, I haven't actually heard like the breathing one, like breathing through your mouth, like as a. So that's a new one for me. I hadn't heard that before.
oh yeah, definitely. Reason why I do that is sometimes when I snap a photo, I get the genuine reaction stuff. So like sometimes,
Oh, okay.
because as I shoot, I talk.
Yeah.
So I'll like, I give them compliments like, oh, beautiful, perfect. Oh, hold that pose, looking great, beautiful, good job. I encourage them along the way. And of course, I have music going on too. So I play some music to keep everybody happy.
Oh yeah, killer combo.
And then, at least for me, my knees are terrible. So when I squat down to snap a photo, my knees pop. And I make a joke about it. I'm like, oh man, I'm so old. And then when they hear me say that, they laugh. And then they don't realize that I'm holding the button down. So I get a genuine reaction out of it.
Oh yeah.
So when I tell them breathe through your mouth, it's the same with like, when you go to a sporting event. Let's take Ronaldo for an example. Some of the photos that they take of him during the game, he's panting, he's breathing through his mouth. So that's why his expression is there. Instead of like breathing through the nose, you're just like stiff face.
Yeah.
So I just say breathe through your mouth, show some teeth, smile. When I say tilt your head, look up, look down, move your eyes, move your body. Like that's how I kind of direct them. So there's more expression. Going back to experienced models, sometimes they just know what they want.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to what I said earlier, 90% of it is all them, the other 10% is me. When I work with somebody who's been modeling a long time, I don't even have to say anything. They already do it.
Yeah.
I just got to push a button, or I might say, oh, hold that pose.
It's just like breathing to them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like breathing. So that's one of the great things, whether it be inexperienced or experienced, at the end of the day, we still came together and just created dope art, which is awesome for both of us.
What's we'll go with favorite shoot with a model and favorite shoot with like collaboration with like other photographers?
Ooh, well, I never collaborated with other photographers. To be quite honest with you, I'm a one-man team.
Okay.
All the equipment is mine. I set it up. I take the photos.
Yeah.
I edit. I schedule. I book. I do all of that. I'm a one-man team. One of the things that I did tell myself this year was to try to network a little bit more and work with other photographers and kind of learn off of them too.
Yeah.
Because everyone has a different style. Everyone has different equipment. So something I want to learn is trying to use a off-camera flash and trying to get those photos that look very professional. Because for me, I've always done natural light, so I like to try that. And I follow this one photographer. He uses the off-camera flash all the time, and his photos look amazing. And we do talk occasionally here and there. He asks me a question, I ask him a question. And of course, as a community, it's great too. We kind of share things like, oh, this photographer, don't work with them because this happened to such and such model. For people who are watching may not know this, but I'm sure you saw.
Yeah.
I posted on my story about how a photographer was harassing a model. That's the great thing about the community. We share the world, or share the word. Sorry. And that's one thing. Keeping an eye out. Oh, don't work with him. I would recommend her, but she does need a little direction. With her, she's amazing. Her rates are a little bit high, but she's amazing. Like, that's the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone's very nice. I would like to work with other photographers. There has been a time where I did have to block some photographers because just the way they were was very unnerving to me. They might comment and say, "Oh, this looks amazing," blah blah blah. And then the next thing you know, the model texts me and it's like, hey, do you know this person? They're saying we should shoot and do this very like rated R type shoot. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, come on. And that's one of the things about my models is that they're also my friends. So we kind of look out for each other.
Yeah.
And because they're my friends, I know how they are. I know what they're comfortable with. I know what they like, what they don't like. what they would like to do and what they would not want to do. And then for all of a sudden, another photographer who follows me, and then they hit up the model and they're like, "Oh, you're beautiful. I want you to meet me here, and you're gonna wear next to nothing, and we're gonna shoot." And then I'm like, "All right, that's not cool."
Yeah.
Like, in a way, I saw it as him stealing my model, but of course I don't want to use that terminology because other photographers, they want to network. But with this one guy, I was like, okay, that was very like up there, like the DM request. I like how you look. I know a creek, and you can wear this, this, and this, and we're gonna shoot, and it's gonna be like on the explicit side. It's like, bro, like that's your first impression, and of course, first impressions are key, So with him, I was like, all right, I have to block you because the way you're coming off to my friends that I've worked with, it already like set the tone of like the comfortability level.
Like you've already crossed the line.
You already crossed the line, and like that comfortability level is already like down to a -10. So I was like, okay, I gotta block you. But for other photographers that I've been speaking to, I would love to work with them. Again, it's just a matter of communication and scheduling things. For your second part of the question, my favorite shoot. Oh man, I've done so many where it's like I've been so happy with it, and they came out great, and both parties love it. Oh man, my favorite, it's hard to tell.
While you think about it, I'm going to say my favorite. It was...
Of mine?
I'll say my favorite real quick while you're thinking about yours.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you a sec. So I had just started. It was like 4 years ago. And there was this lady doing like a photo shoot at I forgot what the place is called, but basically it was like this white studio called Lumen Room.
Oh yeah, I shot it.
And so she was hitting up like a bunch of like female models, and one of the ladies backed out. And so she hit me up and said, "Hey, do you like have like a yellow?" I was like, "I don't wear any yellow." It's like I like ran to Target and like got, "Oh yeah, I'll get something for you." And so I got like a yellow top, and it was a flower shoot. It was my first time like wearing makeup or anything like that. And
like one of those abstract type.
yeah, we each had like a flower, and we like posed with that. So we posed like separate, so they got like a bunch of shots of us like by ourselves, and then we did like a group photo shoot.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I pushed myself in a lot of ways. So it was like, not only were the photos dope, but it was way outside my comfort zone, like in every way. And so it was like a fun little like switch up for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And that's, again, stepping out of your comfort zone. Trying it and feeling it for the first time. For my favorite favorite photo shoots, I've done so many. I will always remember my first one is with my friend at the beach. That was when I was really diving into doing photography and learning and teaching myself how to use my camera, so I'll never forget my first one. Some of the ones that I'm most proud of, maybe the ones I sent you, kind of as a reference.
Yeah.
So the first one, if I remember, was, I'm gonna try to keep her name out of it, just out of respect of her privacy. But the one where it was with the window frame, that one was very different for me because I never done one where it was low light photography and I was using lighting equipment. I was experimenting a lot with my lighting equipment, and it just so happens that the adapter that I had that clicked in with my light doubled as a spotlight. And it came with these little frames that you can insert. So one of them had that little window effect. So I inserted that in, took that photo. That one came out amazingly, and she did amazing. Granted, I only see her like once every year because she goes to school in a different city. That one was amazing. I think the next one that I sent to you was the one where
on the beach.
Not exactly the beach, but that one was here in Texas. That one was at Cottonwood Park, which is right next to Little Elm. I remember specifically that day that we originally planned for it to be at Little Elm, but it was packed. I think it was because it was during 4th of July weekend.
Oh yeah.
So it was jam-packed, and I was scrambling to find another spot, and I was like, oh, Cottonwood Park is like literally, down the coast. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna drive down there, let's go there. And man, the golden hour there was amazing. When I edited the photo, it was that purple, bluish sky. It was beautiful, and my model was beautiful as well. And I remember specifically, my model wasn't exactly in the happiest of moods because she was going through something. And for me to have him take that photo, it cheered her up. So like, of course, that kind of warms my heart.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
That was nice. The next one, for that one, it was actually the second time we ever shot. The first time I met her was kind of unprecedented. I wasn't planning on meeting her. It was with another person, but she came along, and then that's how our friendship kind of started, because she was curious about my process and how I do things. And she wanted to do another shoot with me. I was like, okay, cool. We set it up, shot, everything came out beautifully. That picture that I sent you for reference, I actually printed that out into a giant canvas, and I gave it to her as a birthday present.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and that was also a way where she broke out of her shell.
Yeah.
Because, kind of doubling back, she doesn't see herself a certain way versus the way I see her. Like, if I didn't know who she was and I was like a casting agent for Victoria's Secret or something, she would have been my first pick.
Yeah.
Because, the way her facial structure is, the way her body is, like, it's a good mix of lean and tone, but also a good mix of muscle in there. Like, she's beautiful. And so that one was also definitely like one of my favorite shoots with her, and in the short time that we've known each other, she became one of my best friends. So each shoot has like its own memories, but I would say those three that I've sent to you were probably the ones that stood out to me the most, because it was, number one, the memory part, but also just how it was in general, the day, the setting, the time, what I did differently versus what I'm typically doing, and how each one just kind of...
Everything just kind of lined up.
Everything just kind of lined up, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, these three are probably like the number three in terms of memories, photography, and just overall that day. Yeah.
I think I wanna end with this. For you, what's one thing someone could take away as a photographer and as a model that could help them grow like a lot, improve?
I mean, definitely the networking part. See who you like working with, see
Yeah.
who you don't. Try different styles. Everyone has their own niche. For me, I do everything. I do personal requests too. I do boudoir, I do bikinis, I do fashion, I do outdoor stuff, I do fashion. I might even do special requests if you would like one. I like dipping my feet into each and every one, but I specialize in certain things more so over others, but at the same time, I'm willing to learn. For models at least, it's the same for them. Find your niche and what you like. All the models that I work with, most of them were boudoir because they're very comfortable in their skin and they like, showing the sexy side of them. And some of them, they also want to try different things like, oh, I never done, this and that. Do you have a recommendation? Oh, maybe check out him. That's his niche. Maybe see what it's like to work with him, and if you like it and you want to come back to him, hey, there you go. You have another contact to go to. It's the same with people who want to get into modeling. Figuring out your niche, what you like, and kind of sticking with it. Of course, don't always stick with it. Change it up a little bit. That's the same with me. My Instagram, like the way I have it, I'm posting stuff that I haven't posted, but they're like from 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of mix it up, like, oh, I have a studio. Okay, maybe this one, let's do some nature. Okay, I did nature. How about we do some fashion? Okay, let's bring it back to boudoir, or let's bring it back to this. Like, just so I'm not like sticking to one thing, and anybody who comes to my page, they can see like, oh, he does more than just one thing. So that's what I would say. Of course, between models and photography, keeping that communication up, being professional, looking for red flags, definitely. that's one of the things with being a photographer, at least for me, being a guy as well, I don't want to come off as that weird, creepy guy,
Yeah.
Like there are guys who are amazing photographers, like, they have their own studio, they have their own company, they have all their stuff and they're super professional. But then there will be like those guys who only have a camera and just want to meet a girl for his own like personal satisfaction. So looking for red flags and one thing that I always kind of instill in my friends who want to get into modeling is looking out for those red flags. Number one thing is if they say no to you having a +1.
Yeah, that's a huge
that
one.
is definitely a huge one. For me personally, I welcome it, I encourage it, and I even tell them, if you want to bring a +1, you're more than welcome to. After the first 2, 3, maybe even 5 collabs, after the 5th one, and that relationship is there, and you're cool with each other, if they no longer want to bring a +1, that's totally fine. But when it comes to like other people, meeting them for the first time, always ask, can I bring a +1? If they decline it, that's something to look out for. The second one is just keeping yourself safe. Have your location turned on to a family member or somebody you trust. Hell, even have a code word. Like you're shooting and then things are getting very, weird and you kind of want to like call it quits and leave, but you want to do it in the nicest way possible. Just send a text message, like a code word saying, I don't know, pineapples, and then you'll get like a fake scenario, like, hey, there's an emergency, we need you here, blah, 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 and then and then the model can go to the photographer and be like, hey, I have an emergency, I gotta leave right now. Like, that's like, for me, that's like the safest way to kind of say, I don't want to be here, and I gotta go. Like, I gotta dip. So, in terms of both photography and modeling, have fun, network, meet people, find your niche, feel inspired, try different things, and just keep on going. As time goes on and things change and you want to call it quits, hey, nobody's gonna tell you no. Do what you want to do.
And with that, take care and live a life led without regret.